Thika is, it can be classified as one of the semi-arid areas because we normally receive very little rain annually. Like for example, this year, we only had 2 or 3 rains. This is an area that is highly impacted by the impact of adverse effect of climate change. And therefore, what we are doing here is a good indication and a good demonstration that even farmers in semi-arid areas, they can actually grow their own food. They can transform the degraded land into a food forest, greener landscape through the different types of land use practices that we are promoting. Due to overuse of industrial chemical fertilizers, the soil have lost all the nutrients. The farmers have actually interfered with the normal ecosystem, the natural ecosystem, and therefore, when it comes to growing food, it becomes very difficult. The chemical fertilizers have also found their way all the way to the water bodies through water runoff and also through erosion. We know very well that due to the adverse effect of climate change, most of the young people in schools, they come to school without food. They have no, they don't take breakfast, no lunch, and even at the end of the day, they are not very sure whether they will get dinner. And therefore, most of them do drop out of school. Others, the rate of absenteeism is also very high. And therefore, through this program, we noted that if we are not able to mitigate the impact of climate change in good time, then we are losing a generation. We started working with the schools in 2014, and up to date, we are working with over 16 schools, Thika Rescue being one of them. And the main purpose or our mandate is to build the capacities of the young people in schools, teachers, and the communities so that they are able to use the local resources, use good agricultural land use practices for them to produce one, food, then two, to also mitigate the impact of climate change. One of our main aim of working with the schools, we realized that children do not access nutritious food either at home and even when they are at school, because when they spend the entire day in school without food, then this affects their academic performance, their physical growth, and their mental development.
Despite of this area being very dry area, we have come up with some techniques of how we can use the little water we have to grow our own food, like mulching our gardens. We realize that when you keep your garden covered, your soil covered, you will be able to grow a lot of crops. Growing the cover crops and also planting companion crops in the same area, you will cover your soil and you will be able to reduce the evaporation for the nutrients and also for the water.
What we do during the implementation of this program is that we have taken the young people through various land use practices. One of them is water management, and one way is through the use of soils. The other one is soil fertility management. There is also integrated pest management, tree planting, mulching, crop rotation, among many others. The other one that we have also been doing is that there is water harvesting and storage, so that this water is used for actually irrigating the gardens during the dry season. And through this, we've been able to introduce roof water harvesting. The other one is groundwater harvesting, and also the runoff, which we have done very well. And we have also been intending to use the solar power to actually pump the water from the water pan all the way to the garden.
the last 2 years, this place was, there were no trees, we were not doing any farming. We were trying and then we would fail because now we were depending on the rain to cultivate. And what now we see is a drastic change. The change is notable because of the plants that we've done.
Because of the climate change, the fruits are very expensive and most of them are chemically grown. So we realized that it is good to come here and we started growing the fruits like bananas and other fruits. We have incorporated so many fruits here so that we can help these kids.
The other one is the growing of different types of crops, starting from drought-resistant crops like cassava, sweet potatoes. We also have a local maize, which actually does very well in dry areas. The other one that we are also doing to actually ensure that there is maximum production is the integration of herbs, flowers, and also indigenous vegetables, so that the garden has a diversity of different crops. Some have deep roots, they are deep rooted. Others, they form very good canopy. They cover the other crops that cover the ground. And therefore, with all this, we are able to actually produce adequate amount of food that is fed to the children.
In organic farming, we don't kill pests. We have our way of controlling pests. If you want to control pests in a very good way, you control them when your crops are very small. We make our own concoctions, like we have one made of garlic, pepper, the hot pepper, and also the Tithonia leaves.
The other one mitigation, that climate mitigation practices that we are promoting, is the production of tree seedlings, starting from fruit tree seedlings, medicinal and indigenous tree seedlings, so that they are planted within the school compound. And through this, children will actually access different varieties or types of fruits. Like for example, in this institution, they are consuming moringa leaves, which is added to their vegetables, and they like it very much. So for us to intensify the planting of trees in schools, we are supporting schools to establish tree nurseries. And through this, they're able to produce so many types of fruity trees within the school compound. We have started a small seed bank here in Thika Rescue to actually promote the saving of local seeds which are harvested in the garden, and they are stored here in this seed bank so that the school community can continue to grow local seeds anytime, and this will ensure that they are self-reliant and they are self-sustaining. One advantage about the use of indigenous seeds, it's because they are well adapted to the local climate and they grow very well and withstand that harsh environment. We are empowering young people, nurturing a generation that will sustainably use all the local resources in terms of the land and even the indigenous seeds to rehabilitate the degraded land and actually improve their livelihood. We want to actually enhance, to ensure that children in schools access nutritious food. And through this, we have noted that where children are eating or they are accessing nutritious food, you will find that their health is improved. Some of them, they have skin diseases. And when they start consuming nutritious food, you find that there is that reduced different levels of skin diseases among children. And then secondary, you also find that in terms of academic performance, we have noted that children who eat nutritious food, those whom we are working with very closely and they are eating nutritious food, academically they are performing well.
And the kids are growing very well because even we have the herbs. We have lemongrass, we have rosemary, we have nasturtium, we have roselle that are helping their immune system.
Most of our produce is consumed by the children, fruits and vegetables. And we've had a remarkable change in their life, their diet. With the fruits and vegetables that we farm, they find their way in our kitchen, and we are now able to make sure that every day our children are at least eating a fruit, and their food has assorted vegetables. So the nutritional value of their diet or their menu has greatly improved in the last 2 years.
Yes, it is possible for school community to mitigate the impact of climate change by adopting and practicing good land use practices that actually ensure that throughout the year they are able to produce enough for them to be food and nutrition secure, also to access energy in terms of firewood. I have noted that any piece of land in Kenya, any degraded land can be transformed into a productive landscape. The only thing that people need to do is to change their mindset.
We want to mitigate the climate change, but if some are doing and some are not doing, it will not reach to where we want it to be. So I will encourage everyone to start doing it little by little, so that we can see that we are doing the mitigation and not pulling it down to go to an extreme way that we'll never be able to come back to what we want to where we want to be.
So I would encourage other people who have pieces of land that they are not using, or pieces of land that they feel that maybe they are not productive. Through permaculture practices, they can manage to regenerate the ecosystem, regenerate the soil fertility, introduce the different types of plants and even trees which adapt well in those areas. And through this, their land will become productive. For these practices to benefit many people, I would actually encourage other organizations that promote different types of activities in schools, and especially environmental program in schools. I would also encourage the government to also come in on board in terms of policy, so that mitigation of climate change can actually be rolled out to many schools. And this can only be done if the integration of education on climate change can actually be integrated in school curriculum or in learning institution, so that children grow up learning the good practices in terms of mitigating climate change.